Hi, beautiful souls. Wagwan. I am Marcia C. And welcome to another episode of Her Sacred Soul Space. Here we have great conversation that stirs our heart and expands our soul. I am so happy that you're here with us today. Today's conversation is going to be really, really good. And I'm so glad that you're here. So I'm going to encourage you just to share this post so others can also benefit from it. We're about to lean into you today, and we're going to talk about her double G's. But before I go into that, I want to affirm you. Yes, you, our viewers. Thank you so much for always being there, always liking our page, sharing our posts to others, and hopping over to our YouTube channel to subscribe and to like that as well. Because, that's how we grow. That's how we spread knowledge. That's how we ignite the light of others so they too can do for other women. So thank you for that. And if you're new to our space, we just want to say welcome, and you're now part of the family. So don't go anywhere, right? I also want to send a special love vibration out to my fellow co-host who's not able to join us today. That is Dr. Fisher, Yolande, Beatrice, and Natalie. We miss you, ladies, and we hope all is well. So we are talking about her double G's today. Grieving through gratitude. As we approach the holiday season, it can be so difficult for us to step into gratitude or wrap our head around it while we're grieving. And so today we're going to break it down a little bit for you, and so that you'll be able to do so. This month we have Thanksgiving. Next month we have Christmas. We're going to give you the tools you need in order to be able to appreciate and celebrate these holidays, right? We have my practitioner, EFT practitioner, Helen Racz. I am so happy you're here, Helen. Welcome.
Thank you.
I just want to say personally, I want to affirm you too, because I'm not quite sure you know this, but you've been someone special for me to me. A few years back when I was going through my grief of divorce, I was led to Helen, and she had helped me so much in such great ways that those gems that I obtained from her, I now pass on to others. I remember, Helen, one of the things you said to me, Marcia, how you close a chapter determines how you show up for the next. And that is something I've always had in my heart space. Yes, I don't know if you remember that, but that is something I have in my heart space. So welcome. And viewers, let me go ahead and just share a brief bio of Helen with you so you can get to know her professionally, okay? Helen has been helping individuals find clarity and relief from physical and emotional, mental and spiritual challenges since 2007. An EFT practitioner, intuitive and physical empath, her unique tapping style combines energy, humor, and compassion to lead people into alignment with their desires, empowering them to live life on purpose with purpose. As a coach, Helen's entrepreneurial work background that includes professional childcare, real estate investing, owning a women's fitness gym, her EFT private practice, and the creation of Houston First 2012 Metaphysical Healing Expo gives Helen unique insight into the mindset that will create and the blockages that will prevent personal success. A dynamic teacher, author, and speaker, Helen continues her life coaching and her EFT business because of her commitment to others, commitment to support others to live their greatest potential, to live in their greatest potential. So welcome, Helen. Happy to have you. Is there anything else you'd want to add to that? Something that you like to do for fun that relaxes you?
Oh, I love artistic endeavor. I love paint. I love cooking, creativity, and always, except music. I'm not musically inclined.
Okay. But you tap in your creative juices.
Yeah, everything else. I didn't get that gene though.
Okay, understand. So tell us a little bit, what exactly is an EFT practitioner?
So EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. It was founded in 1990 by Gary Craig. You can find him online. EFT is now in over 40 languages in 40 countries. It's commonly known as tapping because you're tapping on endpoints of major meridians in the body. So as a practitioner, if I'm working with somebody, I do a lot of coaching also. If I'm working with somebody and there's an emotional, energetic block to their moving forward, tapping's the fastest way I know to get over that. Tapping's one of the few things that we have consistent results with for PTSD.
Wow.
Tapping and
Okay.
EMDR are the most consistent for PTSD. And if you're human, you got a little PTSD for sure.
Wow. That's good. Because normally people associate it that you have to go to some big trauma in order, for you to have that. But you're saying regardless of whether trauma or not, that's still a part of us.
Of being human. Yes.
Of being human. Yeah. Tell us about grief. What is it about grief that some people may get wrong?
Well, a lot of people misunderstand Kubler-Ross's work on the stages of grief. That actually only applies to people who are in the process of dying. So it's become kind of, people have morphed it into grief over relationships or career changes or things like that. And so those stages of grief aren't exactly accurate. What I always recommend to people is this grief work, the Grief Recovery Handbook by John James and Russell Friedman. I wish everybody could read this because our culture doesn't really teach us about grief. And so just the understanding of it is a wonderful place to be in. And then grief is not, it's like, what category is it, right? It's not really an emotion. It's an energy field that is so heavy and dense. People might notice when they're grieving that they can't eat high vibrational food, like live food is out. It's all comfort food, heavier density food. Like you brought up with holidays, people find it very difficult in grief energy, again, very heavy, very low frequency, to be around, noise and celebration and party and the happiness of the holidays. And grief has no defined way of showing up for everybody. It's completely individualized. You never know how you're going to experience grief when you're in it. You can't predetermine how somebody else might feel in grief. So it's the trickiest one. You can learn a lot about emotions, a lot about different energy. Grief stays very, very unique for each individual.
Okay. So regarding the fact that the 5 stages of grief is more pertaining to those who are in their transitional phase, for those who may be grieving because the loss of a body part due to surgery or a divorce, like I mentioned earlier, or even the loss of a job, how do they classify that? That's just a general grief, or there's a specific category for those?
So you can't, even with tapping can help a lot. Right? That's why I'm glad we're having this conversation, especially at the holiday times. Tapping can shift energy that gets stuck in grief. Grief is a very natural human experience. It's not to break our hearts. It's to break our hearts open. And so grief happens to all of us in human experience if we've known how to love. Your grief will actually be the same level of intensity as however loving you were in that relationship that shifted, whether it is a career or a marriage or, a pet dying. So your capacity to experience grief is equal to your capacity to love and appreciate. And if you find help and support to get through grief, it does increase your capacity to love as you move forward in life. Now, in between that wonderful return of the investment of being present in grief, you have this stage where sometimes people can get stuck. And the way you get stuck in grief is by not knowing how to be with all of that energy. So tapping will process and help you not get stuck. What does being stuck look like? Being stuck looks like you just can't relate to people again. You're grieving for, a decade. There are people who grieve for decades. And at some point, you want to let the grief go and get back to living and appreciating the love you had before the loss. So in grief recovery, these gentlemen, magnificent work, they define grief that is prolonged, as unexpressed emotion. And
Mm.
it's really,
Wow.
think about this. Say you move out of a house, say you take your kids and you move. How many people take
Yeah.
time to really say goodbye to the house, goodbye to the
True.
memories? You
Yeah.
you graduate college, and it's awesome because you've worked really hard to graduate college. And yet if you don't have some kind of acknowledgement that, wow, now I'm an adult and I'm going to miss, college life and my friends and everything's changing rapidly, sometimes that grief can show up as sticky points in other progress. So tapping will
Mm.
clear all the energy that's excessive so that you don't get trapped in insomnia longer than your body it's necessary. So in a big grief, you do have a stage of shock and brain fog for
Mm-hmm.
sure, where you're
Mm-hmm.
incapable of, you have no bandwidth left for other people's drama. That's very common. You want to respect that as much as
Yeah.
you can. If
Yeah.
you can be
Yeah.
fully present with it and not have to give to others for a few days even, and really allow yourself to feel the devastation and the sadness, you can come out of that more yourself. And then there's a
Yeah.
natural healing. A lot of people don't have the support or the energy or the time or the knowledge to really immerse themselves in grief so that it can be completed. Tapping does help, especially in the holidays when people have been grieving, and now they don't even know it's attached to grief. They just don't feel good.
Yeah.
They just
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
relate to happiness that the holidays represent and show all around.
Yeah. You know, it's so funny. So early September, I lost my best friend of
Mm.
36 years to breast cancer. And I understand the process of death and the transition process. The physical is gone, the spiritual is still here. And even though I understand it, I found myself grieving in such a way that I recognize it was bigger. It's more of the lesson to see how I'm going to lean into it, like you just described, right? And I realized when by my leaning in, I was learning more about me, myself, my purpose, and learning even more about relationships. How did her passing affected me versus my going through a divorce? What was the difference in the way I am mourning, at this time? And so I realized that previously during a divorce, I wanted to run. This time I decided I'm going to stand and see where it's going to take me. How is it going to make me grow to become a better version of myself? So I totally understand what you were just saying. Because we're going to have a tapping session today. Ladies, we just want to go into a little bit more questions regarding gratitude and to see how we could combine it. And then we allow Helen to take it away into a little tapping session for us, right? So why is it important, you would think, for us to express gratitude daily, regardless whether or not there's a grieving involved, but just the art of gratitude daily? Why would you say it's important for us to tap
So
into that energy?
I always teach and coach from an area of, we live in a vibrational plane of existence. It's all about frequency and
Mm-hmm.
vibration here. And so grief is a very low vibration, very slow, very heavy. Gratitude is one of the highest frequencies you can hit. So if you
Mm-hmm.
were even in the worst shock and numbness, be able to remember, I'm grateful for the love that I think I'm missing. When you come out of
Mm-hmm.
grief, which is a true energy, when you come out of
Mm-hmm.
grief, you're able to love your friend as much as you did, even though she's not there. You miss her, you miss
Yeah.
phone calls, texts, sharing,
Yeah.
sharing food, vacations, everything. You miss that. And yet the love and connection you feel is not diminished. Right? Like
Yes.
when she was
Yes.
alive, she didn't have to be in the room with you for you to love her, or even in the same state.
Right.
And
Yes. She
that's
wasn't in
what,
the same state.
right? And yet you could just think
Yeah.
of her and just be like the big smile on your face right now. Your heart would just be
Yeah.
open. And so
Yes.
grief is like it's a beginning teaching of learning that we're so much more than just form. We are so much
Mm-hmm.
more than just this physical existence on this plane. And so we evolve to the love is never diminished, even if we miss them physically, right?
Yes.
I
Yes.
buried 3
Yeah.
family members this year, a mom, a
Wow. My
father-in-law, and a
condolences.
nephew. And,
Wow.
and then last Christmas, my 26-year-old son, well, he was 25 then, he almost died. And I was able to stay very conscious, and at which, I needed to keep up with a lot of things while we were going through this, not knowing. And I was actually able to do that and stay connected through gratitude. Now, this is from a lifetime practice, right? So what that looked like, he had surgery on Christmas Eve even. It looked like, and it was fun seeing my son do this too. We thanked every nurse, even the ones we didn't resonate with. I was grateful for the technology. It had a monitor. I could see that his heart was still doing fine no matter what was going on. I was grateful for that. I was grateful for the hospital being close to my house. I was grateful for the texts and support, the prayers that came in, all the love. I was able to focus on that. And so what did that do for me? I mean, he really came close to dying a couple times. And it was like, okay, how am I going to show up in this? And I knew that no matter how awful grief feels, I would find my way through it. And I would always have enjoyed having him more than I would be in the pain of losing him. And that was a profound experience to live. A unique experience to live. And so that's what comes from a daily practice of gratitude. It's there. It's like the, the life-saving float ring if you're drowning in the ocean. It's something to bring you out of all the shock and fear, to focus on a lifeline that keeps you in the love instead of overwhelmed and drowned in fear.
Yeah. For those of us who may not practice daily gratitude, or not even tap into that energy or that frequency a lot, can you take us into a tap-in session that would help us to kind of ignite that vibration within us while we're grieving? Because now it's kind of hard for us to go there because we didn't really practice it daily. So can you take us into a session that would help you to do that, even if you do not practice it daily?
Yes. So I'll go slow with the spots so you can just copy along. So if you'd like a physical and emotional and energetic experience, you want to mimic me. You want to tap on your body where I'm touching and tapping, and you want to say the words I'm saying. You want to repeat after me. Okay? So let's all just take a breath together, and let's set our intention that we might be blessed with the knowledge of how to remember the love, no matter how dark the grief experience is. Okay, and we always start here on the karate chop spot. Some people do this. I tend to work like this. So right here, we're going to say, even though it's really hard to remember the love, when I am swallowed by the fear, that I'll never feel as good as I did before. This is the fear. So right up on top of the head, between the ears, it's kind of the center of the head. I kind of got the band there. This is the fear. The fog. The devastation. Of the belief. That things have changed. And I can never feel. As good again. And then the eyebrows, right where they begin, you can do one, you can do two, you can cross over, all of it's fine. This fear. That I cannot trust myself. To find my way back. Into happiness. Into peace. Into positive expectation. Into ease. I'm really afraid. And then side of the eye is actually this bone by the eye, not the temple, but right there on the bone. This overwhelming fear
this overwhelming fear.
I feel frozen in fear.
I feel frozen in fear.
I feel like I wish
I feel like I wish
I could faint.
I could faint.
I don't even have the energy
I don't even have the energy
to fight
to fight
or to flee.
or to flee.
It's like something in me
It's like something in me
is locking me down tight.
is locking me down tight.
And I feel claustrophobic. Oh, and
And
this again is the bone under the eye. I feel claustrophobic,
I feel claustrophobic,
alone,
alone,
more alone than I've ever felt,
more alone than I've ever felt.
even with people,
Even with people,
noise,
noise,
work,
work,
responsibilities.
responsibilities.
I feel frozen
I feel frozen
in aloneness.
in aloneness.
And I'd like to be open
And I like to be open
to the possibility
to the possibility
that I can remind myself,
that I can remind myself,
this too shall pass.
this too shall pass.
The fog.
The fog,
And so right under the nose, the fog,
the fog,
the pain,
the pain,
the frozenness,
the frozenness.
and then right below the lip, this will pass.
This will pass.
And my heart
And my heart
will once again
will once again
feel all the goodness
feel all the goodness
that I felt before this grief.
that I felt before this grief.
And then it's collarbone. So you have your collarbone. If you go right under it, these are called your canine spots. You want to, wait, that's not right. K something spots. I like to do a figure 8 here, or take your fist. If your top knuckles on your collarbone, which you can feel, the bottom 3 knuckles are in the right place. Okay. I will remember.
Remember.
I want to remember.
I want to remember.
I'd like to remember.
I like to remember.
I intend to remember.
I intend to remember.
That everything good that I have felt
That everything good that I have felt
is within me.
is within me.
This belief,
This belief,
this fear,
this fear,
this experience
this experience
that seems to tell me
that seems to tell me
everything good I felt
everything good I felt
was not mine but theirs.
was not mine but theirs.
It's not true.
It's not true.
So then we're going to go under the arms. So that's bra strap. You can do this way or crossover, one side or two. This belief,
This belief,
this mistaken belief
this mistaken belief,
that the love and goodness I felt
that's the love and goodness I felt,
is lost
is lost
with the physical circumstance,
with the physical circumstance,
situation,
situation,
person, or animal
person, or animal
is simply not true.
is simply not true.
And then right under the bust line on the top rib, it feels true.
It feels true.
It feels really true.
It feels really true.
And I am afraid
And I am afraid
if I let go of the pain,
if I let go of the pain,
I am disrespecting
I'm disrespecting
who I was before.
who I was before.
I'd like to be open to the possibility.
I like to be open to the possibility.
And then you want to turn your hands facing each other and lean a little so you're tapping your wrists on both wrists on the inside. I'd like to feel.
I like to feel.
Not perfect.
Not perfect.
Just a little better.
Just a little better.
I'd like to imagine.
I like to imagine.
Even if it doesn't seem possible.
Even if it doesn't seem possible.
I could say thank you.
I could say thank you.
For all the goodness I did feel.
For all the goodness I did feel.
And then bring the backs of your wrists together. So it's the back of your hands and the wrists. I'm not sure if that's okay.
I'm not sure if that's okay.
I'd like to pretend.
I'd like to pretend.
That there is a part of me.
That there is a part of me.
that wants to feel good,
that wants to feel good,
even if that part
even if that part
isn't quite ready yet
isn't quite ready yet
to enjoy the holidays.
to enjoy the holidays.
I don't have to enjoy it all.
I don't have to enjoy it all.
I can remain in my grief
I can remain in my grief
privately
privately
until I'm ready
until I'm ready
at all levels and layers
on all levels and layers
of my identity.
of my identity.
And yet I would prefer
And yet I would prefer
if I could show up
if I could show up
in some kind of comfort
in some kind of comfort
and peace,
and peace,
even if it's not my turn
even if it's not my turn
this holiday.
this holiday.
There have been other holidays
There have been other holidays
that were fabulous,
that were fabulous.
other holidays
Other holidays
where I enjoyed
where I enjoyed
the noise,
the noise,
the shopping,
the shopping,
all the commercialized
all the
shiny
commercialized, shiny stuff,
the parties,
the parties,
the food.
the food.
And even if I don't connect
And even if I don't connect
at 100% this year,
at 100% this year,
I'd like part of me
I'd like part of me
to honor
to honor
that other people
that other people
are coming out of grief
are coming out of grief
or having a good year.
or having a good year.
And there will be a time
And there will be a time
when they'll be in grief
when they'll be in grief
and I won't.
and I won't.
I want to see.
I want to see.
I want to remember.
I want to remember.
Everything does change.
Everything does change.
And this is a sacred time,
And this is a sacred time,
a spiritual time
a spiritual time
of my heart
of my heart,
learning,
learning,
evolving into,
evolving into,
knowing,
knowing,
believing,
believing,
expressing,
expressing,
giving and receiving.
giving and receiving.
That love
That love
is eternal,
is eternal,
while everything in form
while everything in form
is always changing.
is always changing.
I want to feel safe.
I want to feel safe.
Oh, I cannot feel safe
Oh, I cannot feel safe
when I know everything can change.
when I know everything can change.
I want to be open to the possibility
I want to be open to the possibility
that I could know a little peace
I can know a little peace
and a little gratitude,
and a little gratitude,
even for moments,
even for moments,
because I too
because I too
will change.
will change.
And I want to change
And I want to change
in the best way possible,
in the best way possible,
even if it means
even if it means
being fully present
being fully present
with the discomfort,
with the discomfort,
the confusion,
the confusion,
the fear
the fear,
of the grief I am experiencing.
the grief I am experiencing.
So even though I may not mean it,
So even though I may not mean it,
I say the words,
I say the words,
thank you,
thank you,
that I'm capable of loving enough
that I'm capable of loving enough,
that I would experience true grief.
that I will experience true grief.
And thank you
And thank you
that it is not a life sentence,
that it's not a life sentence,
that I am safe,
that I am safe,
even if I experience
even if I experience
feeling frozen
feeling frozen
in aloneness
and aloneness
right now.
right now.
Can you take a big breath?
That's so beautiful. it's the vibration is so strong. And
Right.
certain points I get it stronger than the others, and
And
then
these are points from acupuncture, but don't look them up. Use all of them. Because if you
okay.
try to fix it from the logical mind, like
Mhm.
this is a big point for grief.
Yeah.
And yet, if you're trying to just tap there, you could miss layers and levels that your conscious mind can't figure out. So
Yeah.
just use them all. And so for those of you who feel very relaxed, you might have found you were yawning, you might have cried, you might have felt
Mhm. Mm.
different, you might feel vibrational, you might feel sleepy. It's just a shift in energy. You're totally safe. If
Yeah.
you feel a little goofy, chocolate, caffeine, meat will reground you, or
Mhm.
go take a nap and let the
Yeah.
healing keep working if you
Oh,
can.
oh, whew, Helen, thank you. This is so beautiful. It's just, I don't want it to leave. I just want it to stay in the
Well, I
vibration.
did want to remind everybody my website, it's my name, Helen Racz. It has an audio library. You don't have to sign up. You don't have to leave your email. You don't have to become a member. There's no cost. You just click. There's over 2,000 original taps.
Hmm.
You might hear, I used to wear bracelets all the time. You might hear my bracelets in it.
Yeah.
But I just looked it up. There's over 99 taps for anxiety. So if you're
Mm.
feeling anxious and stressed, which happens a lot over the holidays,
Yeah.
you can access those. There's probably a category for grief also. I didn't check that number, but I'm sure there are. And
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be words that relate to your experience. Just tap, say the words, go to YouTube and put in EFT grief, tap along with whoever.
Hmm.
Doesn't have to be exactly what fits your circumstance or situation,
Hmm.
but your subconscious will flip it into a benefit for you personally.
Wow. Yes. And I will also, to all our viewers, Helen's information will be in the description box on her YouTube channel, along with her website. So this way you'll be able to just hop right on over, see all her, what she has to offer you, the services she has to offer you. So you too can continue tapping and utilize her wisdom outside of her sacred soul space. I want to leave this thought. This is a card someone gave me when I was discovering who I am. And for some reason, I saw it today. Yeah, I saw it today and I was led to read it as we close out because I want you to know, our viewers. And suddenly, it's time to start something new and trust the magic of the beginning. So I think this is just perfect. Start something new. Start with your tapping as you are going through your grieving, and for you to be able to step right into the energy of gratitude and to embrace it, so that this is something you can practice daily. I mean, like Helen said, when her son was in the hospital, she thanked everything, even the machine, the fact that it was there. When I'm outside, I'm thanking God for the trees. I just be grateful for everything, the smallest thing, the silly things my dog do that makes me laugh. I try to be thankful for it. So thanks again, everyone, for tuning in, for joining us, for being a part of her sacred soul space. And Helen, thank you again for all your love and your kindness for being here and to share with our viewers just how they too can experience gratitude while they're going through grief. As I say goodbye, as a Jamaican, I'm going to say one love and one good ear. We appreciate you and we value you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.